Hello everyone, it's Benji again. I had recently finished watching Peppi Party versus Gen Z regarding um, abortion and things like that. And I normally don't do videos about these, but I really want to say something. I genuinely think for the first time I can actually say that Peppi Party is actually right about this. And I'm sorry, most of the people that they brought out for being Gen Z look like people who encourage bad behavior, right? What do I mean by that? They are willing to reject the fact that a baby is a human from conception, right? And instead of taking much better steps, like for example, better promotion on sex education, better contraceptives, better sexual culture, or even not fucking everything that walks, they would always excuse like, oh, but the woman has no, right? We are still at a point where it takes two to tango, right? You need a man and a woman to create a baby, right? And that means that the baby requires a father as well as the mother, right? Now, this has been a topic that obviously I'd been debating with some of my friends for quite a while now. Why? Because I have no life, yes, but it's also because it's a serious topic, right? It's serious in the fact that one, it has been a topic that has been debated for many years. It's a topic that is quite a sensitive one in recent history due to Malta being quite a conservative country, first off. And second of all, at least for me, I believe it very personally that abortion is quite unnecessary evil. There are necessary evils and unnecessary evils, and I believe abortion is one of those. And there's gonna be some people thinking, oh, what about in the case of, for example, SA? Well, actually, as a matter of fact, when it comes to SA, it's actually one of the smallest cases of it. Actually, it is, I believe, 0.01%. Another small percentage, which is slightly larger than that, is when it comes to, for example, in medical terms, where the birth of the baby would cause damage to or even possible death to the mother in that case, which is completely understandable because it is a literal medical reason why it should be, right? But let's say with the study showing, and by the way, using US statistics, which by the way are much more well recorded and much more varied in numbers, both of them combined equate to 0.03% or 0.04%. If obviously someone has different studies to prove me wrong, I'm glad to take different results. But that means, let's say for example, right, Peppi Party mentioned that 35 million girls die every year due to abortions, right? So essentially, we're talking about five and a half, 6 times more than what the Holocaust did from 1933 to 1945 in the span of every year in just females. And not only that, for example, in China there was for many years which was one of the biggest nations when it came to abortions, was obviously due to the fact that women were giving birth to girls, because back then girls were seen as a less respected gender, right? But the thing is that in Malta we're using it as empowerment, but in reality it's not empowerment. It's just an excuse for people doing bad behaviors to keep on doing bad behaviors simply because they cannot control themselves, or they cannot simply just say, hey, this is not correct, or we need proper protection. And fine proper protection is 99.9%, but at the same time you have the morning after pill. It's an amazing invention, right? It is something that was created for simple situations like this. But instead of doing the morning after pill, or taking proper contraception, or literally just having proper precautions, or literally just not sleeping with everything that moves, we just said, okay, let's kill a living thing just because we cannot take responsibility for our own actions, and because we're too immature to take care of them. Okay, sure, understandable. Um, Also, to the matter of fact that also there's a huge percentage of women who do take abortions, not large percent, but there's a quite decent percentage of women who do take abortions who get severely mentally traumatized to the point that they even still listen, they can even hear baby screams and baby cryings and baby laughter many years after they've conducted it, right? Why am I talking about something like this at 4 a.m. in the morning? Just like the Luca videos, I did them simply because I I have an opinion. I just want to share it with everyone. I have it's something that I've been researching for a while. Just because I research for something doesn't mean that it's correct. But obviously, I'm giving my own opinion. Obviously, it's also a religious opinion as well. But obviously, religion is not the only justifying factor for me to give this opinion. And at the same time, fine. Most people will say, but you're obviously as as this biological male. What do you have over a woman's body? Like I said, it takes two women to tango. I'm only speaking from facts, and I believe no matter what it is, if you're killing something, it is murder. If you're killing an animal for fun, it's murder. If you're killing another human for murder, so what about something that has been conceived, created both by a man and a woman in someone's body, simply because you cannot take responsibility for your own mistakes, right? I remember this French actress called Bellinger who literally said about her own son Nicholas, saying, "I would have rather given birth to a dog," because obviously she was, by the way, she only wanted to kill her son, by the way, who is still alive to this day, not because of anything like traumatizing her. It was simply because that she just hated her husband. That's it. You know how many times that I've seen, and by the way, it's a much bigger percentage than that 0.04% that I've mentioned, that a woman would simply kill a baby just to simply get back at a boyfriend they're dating, or just to simply hurt somebody. I believe it's 0.9 or 1.2%. So in actuality, it's actually more harmful. At the same time, it is also used as a tool to get back at somebody. So at the same time, if we're going to be using abortion as a way to quote unquote liberate women, we should also see this also a way on how women can also use it to hurt the people they care about, simply just to get back at someone for something petty, right? And the stories that I've seen and I have read about have been quite petty. For example, a woman literally aborting a 6 month old baby for the simple fact that her and her boyfriend had like a simple discussion. She got so offended out of the pure pettiness, especially just killed the baby, you know, literally destroying him mentally to the point of almost committing suicide. Sorry, of self-deletion. Sorry, because TikTok. Like, we are only so, because I'm seeing like these Gen Zs are people who I would typically see that basically just inhibit and promote the bad behaviors of others. If you really want to be a feminist in its purest form is supporting equality between men and women. I believe instead of simply putting things down as, oh yeah, I'm just going to abort a baby whenever I want to, which by the way I think it's quite savage. I don't think that is feminism. I think that is just that is just pure cruelness and pure lack of responsibility disguised as feminism, right? Feminism was fought for civil rights and human rights and right of pay and things like that. It wasn't created just because someone did something stupid and wants to kill an innocent life because of that, right? Now, I invite everyone to comment something in the comments. I read every comment that's read to me. I will answer to anything. If you have any studies that go against what I say, I'm glad to hear it, or you can even message me in the private messages below of your opinion, because like I said, I am human. I am only saying my opinion and giving free speech, right? But I believe that it is murder. I believe it should be treated as murder. But I believe at the same time, Peppi, even though he treated as the severity it is, I believe it should be treated as, he also understood the other side and saying that we should criminalize the fact, not the person, which makes complete sense, because there could be times that maybe they did it not out of not wanting the baby, but obviously out of panic because of how the families can be. So I believe that there should be a system where instead of removing the baby, we should try and make a system where we actually help the mothers of these babies instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, you go, girl, you kill that baby." No. There are better ways in solving this. There are better ways in solving a solution. It's like saying, "Oh, I have a paper cut. Let me fucking cut off my arm." It doesn't make any sense. Why Why do you think for every storm you go into, you have to sink your boat? Makes no sense, right? I'm happy to hear anyone's opinion on this. Doesn't mean you're right, but I'm willing to hear it, right? And obviously, if you're willing to change my mind, I'm happy to listening to anything. But that's just my opinion on the Peppi and the Gen Z situation. I believe all the Gen Zs were wrong, and this is saying as a Gen Z individual, and Peppi was completely correct. And I believe one of the biggest reasons why people want abortion to be legal is because lots of young children, young teens, are not being taught proper sexual education. They're doing things out of to try and be purely liberal and trying to act adult and then have to deal with adult consequences. I believe it's not only the fault of the children. I don't believe it's the fault of these young adults. I believe it's mostly the fault of the parents and the environment we're living in, that they are so irresponsible that they have to literally kill an innocent life for that. And I believe some of these Gen Zers are that. I believe genuinely Gen Z today, I'm not saying all of them, but there's a big portion of them that want to remove it because they grew up in an environment where all of their responsibilities has been excused for one way or another, and they're using feminism as a disguise for that horrible behavior, right? But, like I said, just my opinion. I'm not doing this to be controversial, I'm not doing this to do a political standing. I'm just doing this because I saw a video, and just like the Luca one, I gave my opinion, right? I'm just saying from what I read, from what I analyzed for the last few years, on what I think on a specific topic. Doesn't mean it's completely right for everyone, no. But it is what I think and what I believe in, but does not believe that you should think the same as I do. If you listen to me and I change your mind, okay, good. If you listen to me and you solidified what you thought, okay, good. If you don't agree with me and you believe even more what you believe in, okay, sure. I'm glad that I've done that as well. But if you're open-minded enough to at least listen to what I say, and unlike what the Gen Zers didn't always try to interrupt Peppi Party, who by the Peppi Party was always courteous enough to give them all the time they needed to speak, that just proves into a point that Peppi is right and they are just completely mature in what they think and what they believe in, and they're only doing it to excuse bad behavior. Because just because you're loud doesn't mean you're right. Right? It just means you're immature and you do not take other people's opinions, and that is literally part of biology, where when we feel wrong, we try and double down on what we believe in to make ourselves feel superior, because it is part of our defense mechanisms as animals, right? So I believe these people are not agreeing with Peppi. I believe that they're only doing this because they do not want to feel inferior, so obviously they're going to try and do as much as possible. And obviously Peppi Party being a veteran in debates, and unlike them actually having proper facts and proper figures, right, basically handed their asses on silver platters, right? But I will say it again, my opinion should not be your opinion because I said something. Your opinion should be your opinion because you did the research, you did the studies, you had the experiences, and you said what you want. I just do not encourage the murder of somebody because someone was irresponsible. I do not mind in cases which it is medical. The SA figures that they give are way out of proportion, and they're much more than they believe in. And I believe in, if you want to resolve those, I believe you should focus on trying to remove SA in general, right? Than just saying, oh, SA happens. No, I think you should try and minimize even more. Sure, it is 0.01% of the abortions happening, but it does not mean that we cannot stop the problem in general. In, for example, better safe environments for women, there are much better precautions, right? You're literally saying, instead of going for trying A, B, C, D, you went all the way to fucking double Z, literally the furthest you can go as options, literally final solution, which is practically murder, like as I will say again, obviously in my opinion, but my opinion is biologically correct. And to say, okay, fuck it, I'm irresponsible, I don't know what to do, I'm just gonna fucking and not care about something else because I am a selfish prick, which some people are. But I do not believe that most women who do it are either. There are just some who do it for that simple reason. There are those who do it because they're scared. There are those who do it because they don't know what to do. There are some, for example, under family pressure, because don't forget, abortion is also used by families to try and remove themselves, to not protect the daughter, but to protect their family name. You know how many times I've heard of stories of, for example, hey, you're having a baby, but you love the baby, but no, we're going to force you to have this abortion because it's going to ruin the family reputation, because especially in the country of Malta, right, family reputation is a lot more important than family love. And I've seen it way too many times where they're going to take their children all the way to Sicily to remove a baby simply because they want to make themselves look nice, pure and Christian, right? But when in reality, right, it is as further from the idea as you can. But obviously everyone wants to be in perfect little dollhouses and seeing little Barbies in their little world, right? So no, there, like, there are so many people, there's so many debacles and so many debates that people try to put in, but they make absolutely no sense, because no matter how you put it, murder is murder. As soon as the sperm fertilizes the ovarian egg, it becomes human, right? I know, and then people go be like, oh yeah, but does that mean periods and masturbation count as murder? No, because those are not fertilized eggs. That is not a sperm combining with an ovarian egg becoming fertile, right? If, for example, a sperm forms with an infertile egg, or an infertile sperm goes into an ovarian egg, it does not become a baby, because it is not part of the fertile fertile combination which creates a baby, right? But that's my opinion. Again, if you listen to me and you change your opinion because of me, both in favor of me and against me, okay. If you solidify your opinion, if it's what I think, or the opposite, okay, sure. Like I said, I would love to listen to your opinion, not because I want people to tell me, "Oh, I'm so smart." I don't give a fuck what you think about my opinions. All I want to know is that, hey, you listen to my side, you watch the whole video to completion, and you give me your opinion. I actually enjoy more listening to people who are against me, because I can see how they think, the experiences that made them think this way, and what research they've done for them to believe that. Because there could be something that I don't know about that I can learn from, which I encourage you to do. But in that case, that's just for you, me, and everyone else on this little weird app called TikTok. And well, other than watching me be absolutely shit at this game, I hope all of you have an amazing day or night or whatever time you watch me. If you watch me before you go to sleep, I feel really sorry for you. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I hope you share yours, and we can have a good discussion on this, because I believe that if we do not have an environment where we discuss, we are reducing ourselves as both a society and also as the human race, because the great society we have, the independence, and the very matter of democracy as itself is based on the human right that we should have our freedom of speech and the freedom of discussion, right? And the greatest philosophies are based on that fact that we disagree on multiple things, and because we believe in our own truths, we believe in our own philosophies, we believe in our own research, and we believe in our own experiences, and that's what makes us inherently and absolutely beautifully human, right? So I do not judge those who support it. I only judge the act of killing, as Peppi said. We're all human. We all make our decisions, but at the same time, we shouldn't judge those who do it, but we should try and understand them, even if we do not agree with them. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and well, goodbye.